What boon do you seek? Hiranyakashipu paused. The fate of his brother was flashing before his eyes. Hiranyaksha had been confident that he had insulated himself against every danger, blissfully unaware that he had left a loophole through which his death had sneaked in and consumed him. Hiranyakashipu was not going to make that error. A fiendish fanfare was soon rocking every tier of Brahmand. The Asuras had coronated the elder son of Diti. Shukracharya himself had placed the crown on his head. As the new demon king, Hiranyakashipu's foremost thought now was to safeguard his own life. Treading Hiranyaksha's path, he too began to propitiate Brahma on Mount Mandara. 11,000 years later, the creator materialized. Hiranyakashipu was not going to make the error that Hiranyaksha had made. He began composing the boon in his mind with caution. He was sifting words, adding clauses, modifying details, making sure that every possibility had been accounted for, every peril taken care of. The boon had to be an impregnable fort, and he was not going to leave any door open. Bless me, O Creator, that I cannot be killed by gods or demons, humans or animals, neither during the day nor at night, neither indoor nor outdoor, neither in the sky nor on earth, neither in water nor on land. Bless me that no weapon made of metal, stone, or wood can do me any harm. Bless me, O Creator. Brahma granted him his wish, and the Daitya emerged twice as malevolent as his brother. He not only tormented earthlings but also drove Indra out of heaven, conquered the three realms. Sole master of the universe now, his chaos began to paralyze Brahmand. But in this very cesspool had bloomed a lotus, Hiranyakashipu's youngest son, whose name denoted excessive joy, Prahlad. Although springing from demonic seed, the boy's mind and heart belonged to Vishnu. While Hiranyakashipu had been away invoking Brahma, Indra had abducted his pregnant wife Kayadu. Narad Muni had intervened and saved the queen and her newborn son. The child had grown up hearing the glories of Narayana from Narad Muni and had embraced him as his only reality. On coming back, Hiranyakashipu had sent Prahlad to Shukracharya to learn about the Daitya race, but the boy had returned, still chanting that one name. Vishnu, Hiranyakashipu growled. Don't you know how insignificant he is? A self-proclaimed god who needed the form of a lowly animal to kill my brother. A compassionate god in whose eyes all life forms are equal. Prahlad said, You are disgracing your clan who taught you the name of our foe. Lord Vishnu himself, for he is the teacher of all teachers, ruler of all rulers, sole guide to attaining dharma, artha, kama and moksha. The demon was livid. The universe cowered before him, but his own son was rejecting his might. He tried every trick to stamp down his devotion but failed. The name of the preserver had become embedded in the very pith of Prahlad's being. Days later, when Hiranyakashipu asked him the purpose of his life again, his answer had not changed. To worship Lord Vishnu. What breed are you? You are certainly no Deva, but also not a Daitya if you worship him. How can you extol that wretched thing when I stand here before you? He is the singular truth, above everyone. Even you. You are disowning your father. I am revering the one who has fathered us all. Gnashing his teeth, the demon now ordered Prahlad to be put to death. But this turned out to be a divine impossibility. They got him trampled by elephants and bitten by snakes, but to no avail. They pushed him down a cliff, but he remained unhurt, as if he had landed to invisible palms of Vishnu. They flung him into the sea, but the waves brought him back. Poison added to his food turned into ambrosia. Weapons feared to strike him, and assassins refused to slay him. The ogress Kritya was summoned to take his life, but her trident shattered as it touched his body. Like Shiva shielding Markandeya, Vishnu was shielding Prahlad. With Hiranyakashipu's patience wearing thin, his sister Holika now proposed a diabolical scheme. You forget that I too have been blessed with a boon, she reminded him. My body is immune to fire. Prepare a pyre and I'll sit on it with Prahlad on my lap. When you ignite it, he shall burn to death while I will remain unscathed. Her instructions were carried out at once. Prahlad realized what was happening but did not utter a word of protest. He was only chanting the Lord's name, chanting louder and louder as the flames crept higher and higher. Vande Vishnu, Vande Vishnu, Vande Vishnu, surrendering himself to him. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Screams were erupting now from the pyre, but it was not Prahlad. It was Holika. The fire was devouring her skin, dissolving her flesh, but not harming a hair on Prahlad's head, as if something beatific was encasing him again. Succumbing to the horror that the powers above had revoked her boon for trying to misuse it, as the flames faded, Hiranyakashipu froze. The boy was sitting alive while Holika had been charred to death. Trembling with rage, he dragged Prahlad and hurled him before a moonstone pillar. Enough! Looks like I have to end your miserable life with my own hands. You can only do so if my Lord wills. If he does not, you can do nothing. Prahlad said, I shall bind you to this pillar and disembowel you. Will your Vishnu arrive in time to stop me? He need not arrive anywhere. The boy smiled. He permeates everything. He is everywhere, in every element, in every cell, in you, in me, in this very pillar. In this pillar, Hiranyakashipu snickered. Yes, father, he was, he is, he will be. Show me. Prahlad closed his eyes as the Daitya struck the pillar with his mace. Invoke your God. Show me his presence. His words died inside his throat. The pillar was splitting right through the middle. The two halves were tumbling down, releasing a wave of light, revealing a creature that they had perhaps been incubating, a towering chimera that defied every description, every anatomy. It was neither human nor animal, neither a deva nor a danava. It was none of them and yet all of them, an amalgamation of all forms possible, a transcendental hybrid, horrific yet hypnotic. Narasimha, Vishnu as the humanoid lion, fulfilling every condition of the demon's death. Gathering Hiranyakashipu in its arms, the avatar now carried him to the threshold of the palace entrance. Thus, the Daitya was neither indoor nor outdoor. Twilight had descended, making it neither day nor night, and Narasimha placed him on its lap, suspending him between earth and sky, away from land and water. You have been blessed that you cannot be killed by metal, stone, or wood, the avatar roared. I shall use none of those. My claws will rip your flesh. The demon howled as Narasimha dug its nails into him, tore his belly and pulled out his intestines, hung them around its neck and licked his blood. Prahlad lay prostrate before the god. Vishnu was laughing because both the brothers were dead, because he had saved Prahlad, because the first lifetime of Jaya and Vijay on earth was over.